Ohio State scorches Toledo 77-21 to improve to 3-0 here at Ohio Stadium. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Doug Lesmerises, and Stephen Means. I'm not in midseason form yet, but Ohio State's offense sure looked like it was. On the defensive side, though, 21 points allowed. Does it matter that Ohio State gave up 21 points? Doug, a little bit boom bust still tonight for Ohio State's defense. What'd you think?
Listen, DeQuan Finn, the Toledo quarterback, is a playmaker, right? And I think it was a good test for maybe Bryce Young in Alabama at some point, maybe Caleb Williams in USC at some point, maybe J.J. McCarthy in Michigan, which you're definitely going to see at some point. So quarterbacks like that are tough, and he did a lot of it on his own. But does it matter? I think it does matter a little bit because like those guys are difficult to contain. And he got him a couple times. And like the first one, they came right down the field and scored on, he drifts to his right, gets out of the pocket, and throws the ball down the field because the corner got beat. Like that wasn't being a magician. That was just normal good quarterback play. So, listen, Ohio State's defense so far, rightly so, has gotten a lot of praise. I'm not 1,000% sure that we have a complete handle on them yet. So, the bottom line is if you think they were awesome, fixed, problem solved versus Notre Dame and Arkansas State, then I think you have to take in the Toledo thing and say, okay, well, that was a couple things, right? If you weren't all the way there, fixed, problem solved, then what are you going to do? But I think a lot of people were leaning towards fixed, problem solved, good to go. And, the Toledo dude got him a couple times.
Important context here, and I texted this out to our subscribers before the game. Tanner McAllister is out. That's the nickel safety, the guy who's in the box the most, a very veteran guy, a guy who's probably seen a lot of dual-threat quarterbacks over the course of his career at Oklahoma State. Josh Proctor was out tonight, another guy who actually does play a decent amount of snaps in the box as the Bandit. Mike Hall, their best defensive tackle, doesn't play tonight. So they're missing several guys on defense, and in the corner that got burned on that play, Cam Brown, he was missing too. And then eventually he played half this game. And then add into that a quarterback who might be unlike anything Ohio State sees until maybe, like you're saying, the last game of the regular season against Michigan and J.J. McCarthy. So this game is very hard for me to fold into what we saw in the other games, except for the fact that there has been a tendency to give up the big play. But I think Ohio State has baked that into its own evaluation of this defense before it ever got started. I think they are okay with that to a certain extent because they are going to be so aggressive and kind of push the action in so many other ways that they know it's going to cost them occasionally, but they're willing to live with that as long as they're getting the reward on the other side. And you could argue tonight whether there was enough reward of that on the other side, but due to the circumstances, I think it still just folds into what we've seen through 3 games, which is a defense that's still growing towards something. Stephen, what do you think of what you saw?
It matters because of that's how Toledo was moving the ball. And you brought up Bryce Young. Bryce Young literally just saved Alabama's season a week ago doing exactly that, being a playmaker with his feet. It's something when you have a quarterback where everybody on defense does their job to the T, and he can just be like, so what? And that's what happened on that 3rd and long. JT, that's a sack against most quarterbacks. He did his job. He beat his man off the edge. He contained the edge, and then he went after the quarterback. It's just Finn is a very good playmaker who probably should be at a Power 5 school next year, and he did what Power 5 quarterbacks who have that playmaking ability could do. So it matters because it's something to pay attention to, as Doug mentioned, when you play J.J. McCarthy. Caleb Williams, that's part of why he stole the job from Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma last year is because of what he was doing with his legs. So it does matter, and it's something to pay attention to. How does Ohio State combat that? That's for Jim Knowles to kind of figure out, but it is something to pay attention to when you're trying to win a national title.
I think that's fair that the 2 big pass plays tonight, there was one of like 40, one of 50, both created by Finn's feet as much as his arm in some ways. And I think in future weeks when that pressure is there, the other quarterbacks that Ohio State's going to see in Big Ten play, now starting with Graham Mertz next week against Wisconsin, maybe don't have that same kind of answer. A lot more talk about that on the Buckeye Talk podcast. Find it wherever you can find any podcast. Get the text 614-350-3315 for intel all throughout the coming week leading into Ohio State's Big Ten opener against the Badgers.